Karen, My Love by Brendan Bozeman. You work at Starbucks, I would say to myself. You majored in the classics, and now you work at Starbucks. I would remember those wonderful days in high school, studying Latin, making references no one understood, joining the chess club to beef up my application, defending the study of a quote unquote dead language, looking forward to the intellectual life. It wasn't all stupid. I thought there was an oversupply of classics scholarships, and there was. There are just as many of them as there were in 1850, just no one to claim them. Most of my education was paid for. I caught you, boomer. You thought I was going to say free. I admit some of why I wanted it was its delicious lack of usefulness, however. Yes, it cultivates the mind and broadens your thinking. It improves your speaking and writing. That was polysyndeton, by the way. But it was also the most utterly useless major you could take as far as job prospects are concerned, unless you want to be a professor. And, well, I didn't want to be a professor. I just wanted to be better than everybody else. Well, not really better the way Marie Antoinette thought she was better. A cruel judgment, by the way. She didn't really say cake. It was brioche. And she probably never said it. Just better in terms of, how shall I say, being more aware. Which left me, of course, with a few career choices. And while I would have fit right in as a do-nothing rich kid who would exempt himself from work but eschew the ostentatious trappings of wealth, a rich kid I was not. And so my starter position was Starbucks barista. At least it was hilariously stereotypical, but it depressed me at times. I had comparatively little student debt, but $12,000 feels like an iron ball when you have my job in New York City. The advice you always hear on how to save: skip the morning coffee, ha ha, walk instead of drive, no car, pack your own lunch, duh. I already did all of these, and on a good day, I could save $1. $1 a day on principal alone would take 33 years to pay. I didn't care. I knew things don't stay the same forever. Revoca animum, I would say to myself. Forsan et haec olim meminisse juvabit. Buck up. Perhaps remembering even this will bring you joy. Aeneid, Book 1, paraphrased. I had little sympathy for the whiners who cried on each other's shoulders. They had Bernie Sanders. I had Marcus Aurelius. I had taken a small blow against fate in choosing which store to apply to. Tips would be essential to breaking past $1 a day, so I had immediately dismissed the one near Columbia. Too many students, some of whom I might know, and the one too close to Bloomie's, rich clientele, but cheap. Mine was one of the ones, this is Starbucks country, mind you, across from the reservoir, near Bed and Bath, between 84th and 85th on Madison Avenue. I thought this one would get me the best tips, and a few bucks extra a day would not only pay that debt, but let me start saving and investing, and I knew the power of compound interest. Not that it mattered in the end. There aren't many retellable stories at a Starbucks. Most people just sit with their laptops and so forth. But that day I was working the register. Something novel happened. A lady came up to the counter and asked for a latte. By the way, I hate absolutely hate people who make fun of Starbucks customers for getting the, quote, double espresso, mocha pumpkin, spice latte for $8 grande, stupid shit. It doesn't work that way. Most people order regular things, and it's an overused, lame joke. Not that I'm advertising for Starbucks. It's just that I want to punch people who use that line. This lady looked like a Karen. Middle-age-ish, kind of fat, curly, non-styled hair, semi-frumpy clothes to make a statement of being non-rich bitch Upper West Side. And she was an angry one for that. Eyes wide, head held indignantly, stiff back, definitely ready to strike. But the anger was not directed at me. She was polite with me. I scanned the store looking for whatever set her off. I couldn't see anything. She paid, and I wrote her name, Barb, on a cup and passed it on. As she stepped away from the counter, I saw the source of her discontent. Marching up to the counter was a lady, a really fine lady, stunning actually, blonde-haired and blue-eyed, beguiling as Aphrodite, enthralling, with 2 small children. She was very well dressed. Her perfume was exquisite, and she said hello with a strong but very beautiful and seductive voice, the kind that makes men feel special and weak and awkward. All this could have rubbed Barb the wrong way, but it wasn't that alone that got to her. It was her kids and their clothes. Now, the kids were also blonde and blue-eyed and very Abercrombie and Fitch, but their tops were what I think really set Barb off. The boy, about 9, was wearing a sweatshirt saying Harvard Bound, and the girl, about 7, was wearing a sweater that said, I want to see the manager, and the sweater was cashmere. In the world according to me, those tops were the funniest thing I had seen in a long time, and I couldn't control a laugh. The lady leaned forward, and I thought I was about to get the treatment, but she whispered in my ear, I know. My sister got those for them. It's as if it's a dare to see if I'll take them around like this. I understand, I said. I took her order and passed it on. I could hear Barb huffing above the steam sounds and the murmur of customer traffic. While I greeted the next customer, the boy and girl both picked out additional items, mugs as I remember, and put them on the counter. The lady had paid with a Starbucks card, but she had gotten distracted by her kids, and I had left it on the counter. She waved at me to put it on the card, which I did. Don't forget that. They did pay, although I looked over at Barb the moment I reached for the card, and she looked away to pretend she wasn't staring. I could see she was fuming, probably because in her mind it showed how spoiled they were. I didn't think that was right, or fair, or kind, or sporting. So I poured gas on the fire. I ran the card quickly but said, Hey guys, I won't let you pay for these, not with those awesome tops. Kid, just put in a good word for me over at the Big H and we'll call it even, okay? And little girl, ma'am, you just deserve it. I said all that loud enough for Barb to hear. Her eyes widened. Oh boy. The kids cheered and thanked me, and the mom winked. She knew I had run the card, and went to sit down near Barb. That wasn't on purpose. The mother had been oblivious to Barb's huffing and puffing. Her kids were saying, He's so nice, and the mother and I exchanged some knowing glances. I could see Barb looking for any little reason to complain about them. She needn't have worried. The little girl had ordered an orange juice, and she knocked it over. A little of it splashed on Barb, and she erupted. Can't you control your kids? She yelled. They're entitled. Who do you think you are? Etc. It's hard to remember exactly what she said, but she stood up and demanded that they leave. I wouldn't normally have gone over since I was at the register, but I jumped right over the counter and I said I would clean up the mess and to please calm down. Of course, the best way to rile someone up even more is to tell them to calm down. And boy, did she deliver. You can't give free stuff out. These spoiled brats have enough already, and so on. Thus far, I had only seen Karens on the internet, and seeing one in real life was a little scary, especially up close. I said, "Please leave." As you might imagine, that only made it worse. They should leave, and I'll call the police. The manager came out and somehow got her out the door. To my surprise, everything suddenly went back to normal, like a light turning off. The kids were not crying, and the other customers just looked at us and each other and went back about their business. The mother apologized. I said she hadn't done anything. I got the girl a new orange juice, stuff like that. The mother and I did have a little laugh over it, but that was pretty much it. In a little while, they went on their way. We had not, however, seen the last of Barb. She came back, this time with a police officer. Supposedly, I had assaulted her, the manager had assaulted her, the lady had assaulted her, and she made some other stupid accusations. But I'll leave out the details of that. That should have been the end of the story, but no, it wasn't over. A couple of days later, the same mom came in and asked if I could play chess with her son for $50. I was totally confused. I said yes, of course, but I didn't know why she would ask. Apparently, in all that had gone on 2 days before, I had said something about chess and that I was a classics major. I have no idea how or when. I said I would be off at such and such a time, and she came back with him with a chessboard, and after my shift we played, and I taught him a few things. His name was James. Hers was Amanda. Such a sweet name. She asked if we could do it again. She'd buy me lunch. Again, yes. This became a routine. Before long, she was asking if I could teach her daughter, Courtney, how to play. I agreed, and she said maybe it would be easier if I came to their house. That was fine by me. So every day after work, I would go up to this penthouse apartment on the Upper East Side to play chess with her kids. I think the perceptive listener can tell where this is headed. Mrs. Scott and I got to know each other a whole lot better. We really, quote, meshed, personality-wise. And she told me some secrets, like that she and Mr. Scott weren't getting along so well and were going to get a divorce. She didn't know how to tell the kids, and she didn't want them to be raised without a father figure. So, a year later, Amanda had changed her name, and I was a permanent resident at the penthouse. A lot of chess is played. I can devote my full intellectual energies to Caesar, Seneca, and Cicero. And if I take a break and gaze across the skyline, I can just barely see my old Starbucks. I think about how it is true. You should, quote, send away gloomy fear. You never know when or how things will change. And I bless that fat, ugly Karen. How I love her.